Now, maybe what you've been waiting for, and something that obviously is going to hopefully pull everything together, is what we call our route training session. Now, this is for the practical use of everything we've talked about. Some things we're going to emphasize, some we're not. Obviously, because of the setup, we are not going to use blitzes. We're not going to worry the quarterback about the look principle, but we are going to make the receiver, the quarterbacks, and the entire unit accountable for what the concept is, exactly whether it's a short pass, whether it's an intermediate pass, whether it's a deep pass, and we're also going to make him accountable for what category it's in, whether it's a primary, whether it's an individual, whether it's a progression, whether it's a package pass, whether it's a special. And this is going to be the fun, because I think you're going to see, as we examine these various forms of pass action, we're going to see all the principles that we've been talking about for the last couple hours. First, we'll discuss the quick pass. The quick pass is a 3-step or sometimes 2-step quick drop-back action by the quarterback. It obviously takes place in the short zone. The option or choice concept is our primary category. It's our basic deployment of receivers and our basic route running, where each receiver is accounted to convert his route and to make the best use of his route based on what the defense does. Now, it's a 5-step drop back, and it also takes place in the short zone. The next concept is the shallow cross, and this is the shallow cross or short crossing action by all receivers. Tight ends and all wide receivers use this maneuver. The backs use what is called a scissors, and that's also a 5-step, and it is a full package route. When you see the shallow cross, it will have all levels of pass, and all people will be converting their routes. The smash is a 5-step, also a drop back. It takes place in the intermediate zone. Takes place from 12 to 20, an excellent route in that area, although it also functions in the short zone because of the complementary receivers. 4 deep, another 5-step drop back maneuver. It's a vertical seam route. It's a vertical seam route that the quarterback and receivers learn to run that will also take advantage of the intermediate to deep zone. The sprint is an all-encompassing package, and it is a run threat pass. It's just what it sounds like. It is a sprint, is a threat in the corner, you want to threaten the outside of the defense, and it's an excellent all-around pass. The stop is a half roll. It's a half roll. It's a full package pass, and it takes advantage of the entire field. The roll is a flood, and it basically, you attack the corner, but it's basically a flood concept, which we hope we are going to outnumber a particular team with the deployment of our receivers. The play pass is a 7-step play action fake, and it attacks the intermediate zones. And it basically is a horizontal route. So now, over the next few minutes, we're going to discuss each one of these plays. We're going to try to apply them to each one of these coverages over here. As we look over here, we can see the coverages and remind ourselves of the coverages. We have cover 3, which is a basic cover 3, 3-deep zone with a 4-4-3 pass rush ratio. We have a cover 2, which is a 2-deep zone with a 4-5-2 pass rush ratio. Cover 2 man is obviously the 4-5-2 ratio, but it has a man coverage underneath and extremely tough. Cover 1 man is basically a 6-5 ratio with 5 people playing man, 6 people rushing the passer. Cover 1 free is basically a 5-1 ratio with 5 rushing, 5 in men, and 1 guy that's free back in the secondary. Okay? Well, let's get started now. We'll get started with a quick. Now, what the quarterback is doing in this training session, in this route training session, he is going to have each play from maybe 1 or 2 formations. 1 or 2 formations so that he has an opportunity to see exactly what the reaction of the defense is going to be to each particular route. As I mentioned, the quick is a 3-step drop. 3 quick steps, 1, 2, 3, and he has to be ready to throw. The timing on the 3-step route has to be there. If there is any delay in the timing of a 3-step route, it will not work. The basic one we're going to work today is just called the quick hitch. Quick hitch. And these are 5-step hitch and then plant and come back. 5-step hitch and come back. The tight end's releasing inside over the ball at 3 yards. The backs are blocking to the outside in that particular manner. There are ways you can slip them in the flat as well. Now, that's the basic, quick, basic route. Now, we have to be able to convert that route to all the particular coverages that we are going to see. And the quarterback, here's the quarterback. He's not going to worry about anything, but he has to know where he is in the field. This is the biggest problem in high school and college, and we've talked about it before, is knowing where you are on the field. Now, the quarterback, he comes under the ball. In our opinion, after he evaluates, let's say he evaluates cover 3. He evaluates cover 3. He has to now make a decision where he's going to throw the ball before the ball is centered. And he should be in a position where, in our opinion, if possible, he should go as much as he can to the short field. As much as he can to short field because it's a shorter throw, and it can get the ball to this guy, and this guy can be underway. The longer he throws, the more chance there is for a mistake. Now, something that we probably should have talked about before and we should develop as we go along is what about splits? Should we split wide? Should we split medium? Should we split short? In our opinion, on a quick pass to start, this should be a medium split. And a medium split, in definition, is about 8 to 10 yards in depth. In width is an 8 to 10 yard split. That's a medium split. Once you get outside of 10, once you get 12, 15, that's a wide split. And the wider the split, the longer the throw is. Okay, so against cover 3, we can see that we have a tremendously easy opportunity to throw the quick pass. We're going to throw it we're going to get ready on 3 steps. We're going to rip it out there with the throwing spot is going to be down so that receiver can catch it. It's not going to be up. If that receiver comes down, if he plants his foot and comes back, that receiver is going to be looking here. You want to throw that ball right here so that receiver can catch the ball, plant the foot, and head back upfield. If you throw the ball up here, that's where the defender is. So the hitch is going to be a throw back so he can settle and that he can plant and go upfield. Now, cover 3, that's pretty darn simple. As you can see, cover 3 against that is simple. Now, when we get cover 2, and we will see this on the snap of the ball, won't we? We'll see this on the snap of the ball because we will look at our movement key. Now, when we run the hitch on cover 2, the receiver has to know that there's a 5-yard cushion. And anytime the corner lines up inside of 5 yards in cover 2, he converts the route to a post. So now we have the answer to the cover 2 that's within 5 yards. He now runs the route on the man, all the same rules. He runs it, and then he breaks off and runs a quick post. Runs it at the man, breaks off, and runs a quick post. So now, without any change, without any automatic, without anything, this particular play now has a chance to function against cover 3. It now has a chance to function against cover 2 if there's a 5-yard cushion. If the man is over 5 yards, If he's over 5 and it's cover 2, you got to run at the man and then come back, and the quarterback's got to throw it back, and we got to run. There can't be any, I thought he was here. I thought I should do this. You've got to have a definite rule so that he knows when it is that he has to convert that route. Okay? Now, 2-man, here's a problem. 2-man is going to be determined by the type of man that you see on this guy. If he's up on an inside bump and run in 2-man, then you're going to convert that route to a fade. And that's the receiver's job. If he's up in a bump and run inside out, and we've talked about that before, he is going to run at the man. Again, all the same principles. Don't avoid that. If this guy's up in bump and run, don't take off like this. You take off like that, and that guy will be in your back pocket. So you run the route on the man, and you come up there, and again, quarterback has to throw the ball on time. So the quarterback's 1, 2, 3, he throws it. He throws it. He doesn't say, well, gosh, I hope he's open. He has got to throw that ball to one of these 2 guys on the quick pass against 2-man, and so that he has a chance to succeed. Okay? And again, the only difference with a tight end, when he feels 2-man, the tight end can run his route and keep coming because he knows it's man, because he has to convert his route also. But again, if I'm a quarterback and I'm running a quick pass in a short zone to take advantage of coverages, I'm going to try to throw the ball to the outside, to the best receiver, and as effectively as I can and as quick as I can. Now, cover 1, which you will see. And it's not as easy to see sometimes in this particular situation because it's hard to tell. But if you know it's cover 1, the corners are locked up, and you're able to evaluate this. Again, normally in cover 1, unless you're at the pro level, these guys will have a cushion, and now the quick pass is a beauty because these guys are fearful. They have one guy packing them up. You should be able to get your man coverage and be able to throw that pass. Okay? Now, the quick, just to finish it, to show you how you can make it go, is take and run your quick from an adjusted formation. Same thing. All the same principles, and now you've got the same evaluation. The quarterback comes up, he sees the coverage. If he knows if it's cover 2, it's the same thing. These guys are going to convert the route. This guy, if he knows it's cover 2, has got to get out of there so he doesn't get in the way of the post. If it's cover 3, and these guys are back and the safety's up here, he comes through here, he's here, this guy's here, throw it to the short side. Throw it in here to the short side where you got a chance to be successful. Now, if there's a guy in this area lined up in here, then you're not going to throw to the short side. But then you don't want these guys to be split too wide. These guys shouldn't be split all the way out there so that I've got to throw a 40-yard bomb. These guys can have a minimum split. I mean, this guy can be 4 to 6. This guy can be 10 to 12 even, or maybe 14, but not any more than that. And we still got a chance to run the hitch or convert it to the post. So again, we now, by the quick pass, we can run the quick. If they have a coverage that we don't like, we can convert the routes. And remember what this exercise is here. We are going to run these for the purpose of this exercise so that the quarterbacks and the receivers understand. A good quarterback, if he sees bump and run in the quick, he's not going to waste it. I mean, why would a good quarterback come up and he sees a guy here and he sees a guy here? Why would he go with a quick? Well, forget it. We're not going to go with it. That's when the quarterback matures. But in this drill, in this exercise, we're going to run some bad plays against defenses that we don't want to run them against. But what we want the quarterback to do is be communicating with the coach and saying, Coach, I don't like that play. Then all the coach is going to say, the next time you come up there in automatic. And then we get the job done before the snap. Remember what we're doing here. We're preparing everyone for that eventuality or that experience that we hope we don't get in, and so that we have the decisions and the answers for every question. Okay, that's the quick. Now we'll move to the option game. The option game, again, every receiver, inside receiver, has to learn to run an option. That's the tight ends and both backs. They have to learn to run an option. The two outside guys have to learn how to run choice. Okay? And it's a 5-step drop. The throwing spot will be whatever the quarterback can get to in a 5-step drop, and that's critical. The quarterback has to be able to learn to take a depth step on that 3rd step and get as much depth as he can so that so while he's deepening, the routes are taking place, and that's very, very important. Okay, so now we'll go against cover 3. We'll go cover 3, and we remember we got a 4-4-3 ratio, so somewhere we're going to have a 4-4-3 ratio in cover 3. Okay, we're running the option against pure cover 3. What we tell the receivers is if let's say we call Y option. So Y is now the option man. This is a primary pass. He is the primary receiver, and I think that maybe I better be more specific in one way. We believe in naming routes. And I think that's something that maybe I should have discussed in a little bit more detail another time, but I'm sure it'll all come out. We name the routes rather than number them. We will number a protection, but we name the routes. So if we say whatever the protection is, Y option, this guy knows that he's the primary receiver. This guy knows that he's the complementary receiver. And so and then the rest of the receivers have to know what they're doing. They have to know what they're doing to complement the primary receiver. So when we get into a Y option here, and this is the primary, everyone knows their protection, they know their complementary route, and again, they're evaluating what they do in man and zone. Okay, Y option. This man is told to run the route off the man. Normally, there will be a backer somewhere aligned in this area. The receiver is to release hard, run the route on the man, and then run his option route at 8 to 10 yards. Basically, for a tight end, based on the release, it's usually at about an 8-yard depth. And he is told to run that route on the man. If the linebacker nearest him is lined up here, he releases inside, he runs this route on this man, and he comes back in here if it's a zone. So, and again, in cover 3, where it's a 4-4-3 ratio, he releases, he runs a stem at the man, and then he's ready between 8 and 10 yards at the exact timing when that quarterback is ready. The fullback checks his assignment. He'll have a blocking assignment in most all of your protections. Then he runs what we call an M pattern. Again, all it is a flare, but he has to know that he is no more than 3 yards outside the tackle, and he's got to be headed toward the line of scrimmage if he catches the ball. The quarterback's decision on a Y option, he goes back, he evaluates this guy right here, and he hits him at all costs. He hits him unless the guy just, unless there's 2 guys on him or something. He has to hit this guy. That's what he's thinking in a primary round. I'm going back 5. I'm looking at my primary. I'm going to hit that guy any way I can. If I can't, then I have one other release valve, and that's my secondary receiver, and I hit him, and then that's the play. But again, the quarterback makes this decision immediately. As you drive back on your option, you evaluate this guy. If he's open, you hit him. You know where the throwing spot is. You get it to him down and away if you can, and he's in great position. A lot of times in the 4-4-3, he runs inside and breaks out because of where this linebacker is inside. But this man, just like all of them, has to know what to do. The outside guys can run a pivot hook at 6, or you can just let them go. Just depends. It doesn't make a darn bit of difference what you do. Just make sure that they consume the outside area. Okay, now, remember, Y option, if it's 2-man, well, let's just start with 2. If it's two, then obviously there's going to be 5 guys underneath. But it doesn't change. The tight end releases, he finds a zone, and he runs a route. So it doesn't make any difference. Whether there's 5 underneath or 6 underneath or 4 underneath, this tight end has to release, use his good release, come up the field at the man, and then run his option route at 8 to 10 yards. And that is the secret to the game. The same here. Now, when two-man comes, again, this is where where we feel we win the chalk battle. Because no matter whether you're in zone or man, we have an answer. Somebody is going to have this man, man for man. Somebody is going to have him in two-man, man for man. When he releases and comes upfield, someone's going to find him. And when that guy finds him, then he's got to run his route, and he can run that route anywhere he wants. He can run it across, or if the guy takes him inside, which is a lot of times what happens, he can run it out. And it's normally the option route is better to the outside. Normally it's better to the outside because it's in the quarterback's vision. But this tight end has the decision-making ability to run the route based on man or zone. The other option, the option for if the safety is locked up on him, it should be a very easy on-site, on-alignment decision for both the quarterback and the tight end. If he knows the safety's on him on Y option, he's going to come up here, he's going to push on the safety, and he's either going to run that way or that way based on the man-to-man coverage by the safety. So it's a complete package. It's an option route to the tight end. The backs are exactly the same way. If you call halfback option, it's the same way. He arcs out, he finds the man in the short zone, and he runs a route on the man. Exactly the same way. But he's got to start out. He's got to start out and eyeball the backer in this area. If the backer in this area is dropping to zone, he runs a route on the man. If the backer in this area is sitting here waiting for him, which is going to happen a lot, he knows it's man, he's got to come up here, juke that guy, and most of the time beat him to the inside. A very, very good play, which is called halfback option. And now you incorporate your protection on halfback option. You got your fullback, delay, 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 and he's back off in here in a layoff, and now you've got your number one halfback option, number two, you got your fullback. So that's an option. It's foolproof against man. It's foolproof against 5 under zone. It's foolproof against 2-man. It's got every quality you want, and everyone learns to run it against any particular defense. Now, the wide receivers now have to learn a concept, and their concept is a choice. And the wide receivers, again, the same way. You give them a basic route. Let's say we're dropping back and we call X post. X post. So he is now going to run a post, unless he can't. If he's going to run a post on cover 3, because he's going to run a 10-yard stem and then run a real skinny post. And you're going to hit him in here. And you can run the complementary route with the halfback there or the halfback here. It makes no difference. Okay? It's great. It's great against cover 1, right? Man-to-man, it's good. It's good against cover 3. You've got what you want. Now, what happens when it's cover 2-man? And what happens when it's cover 2? When this guy jumps up in cover 2, now the post turns to an in. So now you call your protection, you call X post, and he runs, but all of a sudden he's got cover 2, he comes inside, he avoids, remember what we said, we got to avoid, he comes back up here, and then he runs an in at 10 yards. And you've got now you've got the exact same chance to beat that guy in 2 and 3 and 1. Now, what if it's 2-man? Well, if it's 2-man, you have got to, he now is the primary. It's his choice. You said it was X choice. He can do anything he wants to get open. Anything he wants. He can beat the guy here and come over. He can do anything he wants because it's 2-man. The one thing you don't want him to do is run a fade. You don't want him to take and beat this guy up here because there's a free safety back here and you have no one threatening him. So if you go X choice or you go Z choice off a post, then he knows when he gets disrupted, if it's 2-man, he can do anything he wants. He's free to come and get open. Everyone else is clearing out, and he has the ability to do whatever he wants based on the particular coverage that he sees. So now we have built an option concept for your tight ends, for your backs. You've built a choice concept for your outside guys. No matter what the coverage is, no matter what the ratio is, you have a chance to be successful. And that is a key, again, to the success of the passing game. Now, we'll develop another concept, the shallow cross. The shallow cross now, as we name our patterns, whoever is designated as the shallow cross, everyone else has to learn their assignment. So we'll call a Y shallow cross. Y shallow cross, this guy's got an over, okay? And this guy here has got the clear. So you've got a Y shallow, you've got an arrow, and again, these are, you have to memorize these, but what I'm trying to tell you is that as you put the concept together, everyone learns the complementary route to the primary. Okay? He runs here, and he runs an arrow. So you've actually, both backs have got an arrow route on a Y shallow cross. Now, remember what we're doing. The quarterback is going to go back 5 steps. The tight end is going to release. He's going to evaluate man or zone. The depth of his route is 5. If it's zone, he's going to settle down right in the middle. In the 4-4-3 zone, 4-5-2 zone, any other zone, he is going to settle down over the ball at 5 yards and catch it on Y shallow cross. The overman is going to drive himself to 12, and then he's going to come across over the top in the horizontal zone somewhere between 12 and 14 yards in behind the shallow cross. So again, the quarterback now goes back. He hopefully gets a pre-snap read. He knows what, if it's zone, there's going to be a dead zone in here. This guy just sprints to his zone and settles right down. He takes 5 steps and hits it. If, again, there's 2 linebackers on him, then he has a chance to do one of 2 things. And this is where the quarterback begins to say, hey, coach, what about this? Maybe he goes back and hits the arrow. When we get into our individual routes, we'll call Y shallow cross arrow. And the quarterback will go back. He won't even look at the Y shallow cross. He'll just hit the arrow, and he'll have a heck of a chance to make himself a big play. But anyway, in the Y shallow cross, you've got the shallow, you've got the over, and you've got the clear. And the clear is just what it says. Clear out of 3 deep, clear out of 2 deep. In other words, get through there and clear these people out from behind this horizontal zone. Because as you can see by this package here, this has got everything. This has got everything we want. It's got a short zone pass. It's got a real good individual man beater over here. It's got a heck of a horizontal zone pass in here. And it's got a good special. If they start cherry picking and jumping on your over, you've got a heck of a chance to call Y shallow cross Z as an individual route. And that's what makes the pass game successful. You can put all this together and then just say, man, we're hitting Z. Quarterback goes back, Y shallow cross, and all he does is loft one up there, and hopefully it's got a chance to be successful, and at least you get a chance to let them know that you're going to stretch them a little bit. Okay, 4 under, no problem in zone, right? 5 under, find the zone. Find the zone. You're open. 2 man, you got it made, right? 2 man, hey, there's a guy chasing you, just come over. You're the primary. 2 man. The rest of these guys are the same way. I'm looking at 2 man. I'm looking at 2 man. Every guy on every, remember what we're doing. We're taking every player through a whole bunch of assignments plus a whole bunch of routes so that they will come back and know exactly what they were doing and so that we can take advantage of it. So again, this is Y shallow. Okay, let me show you a sort of a complement to it that, again, we can alter our formation. What you call it is not important at all. Now we call this guy, whatever you call him, we call him X shallow. The zone was going to be here. This guy runs the over. Okay? This guy runs the clear. This guy runs a deep or a go. This guy runs the arrow. So now we have X shallow. And the X shallow is a great class because it's got everything also. It's got a zone route. It's got a man, cover 2 man beater. It's got a horizontal route. It's got a potential for a deep route. To just call this guy, or it's got even a better idea. If they start jumping, this guy can all of a sudden go. So you could take this X shallow. It works good against zone because it's a zone route. It's great against man because it's a man beater built right in. It's got tremendous potential when they start jumping on this guy in the short zone to get into that horizontal zone, which is the one we're all trying to attack. It's got a great opportunity when they start jumping on the horizontal zone to hit a receiver in here behind on his clear. And as I said, then it's also got a chance to build in a one-on-one route over here when they start taking all that away. So what you're going to do is you listen to all this stuff. You're going to start realizing that if you ever had this much offense in, if you ever attempted to put all this stuff in, there'd be no way you could do it. Because as you can tell, a simple route like this takes hours and hours and hours of time and decision. Because every guy has still got to go back and release the proper way. He's got to evaluate man. He's got to evaluate zone. He's got to know what depth he's in. He's got to know how to convert the route. The quarterback's got to make those decisions. Now, I'm not trying to blow your mind on this. I'm not trying to over-dramatize it, but I'm trying to tell you that when you get a package that which one play can be, it's basically got everything you want. And then if your quarterback at the snap, in the pre-snap, can automatic to a better play because of something that you've told him, he's got it made. Because he needs 2 or 3 of these that he has total confidence in, and then he needs some automatics, some check with me's, so that he can take advantage of these coverage on alignment. Because it's my opinion that you can see 75% of these things before you even snap the ball anyway. And so consequently down the line, and when we get into the last part of this lecture, we are going to have specific coverage beaters. In other words, heck with all this, I want the one that just beats 2-man. What's the best one? That's what's going to happen down the line. But this shows you how foolproof this system is. Okay, let's finish the shallow cross concept. We've talked about the tight end or the Y shallow. We've talked about the X. Now we can also put in whatever we call this guy. If you call him a W or whatever you want to call him, you can put a shallow cross into him. You can put a shallow cross into him and over here like this and a go right here like that. So you could put the same thing into him. You got the arrow on that side. This guy is the primary. He's got to evaluate man. He's got to, if it's zone, he settles in the zone. If it's man, he runs the man. This guy runs his arrow. Everyone else clears out, and you got a full package. The same way over here. You could do the exact same thing with this guy. And again, I will discuss in detail how these guys are named, but if this was X and this is Z, you can call a Z shallow cross. A Z shallow cross with an over, with an up. So again, you can see that once you master, the quarterback and each receiver masters the shallow cross concept, then he can move to the next step because he knows what to do against zone, he knows what to do against man, and he knows exactly how to get away from his people. So you got a chance to succeed, and you can hit them in all these short zones with an X shallow cross, a Y shallow cross, this guy shallow cross, this guy shallow cross. So you can just see the variety in just one concept, which is foolproof against man and zone. Now let's take another look at it's sort of an offshoot of the shallow cross, and it's what we call a box or a scissors. And all it is a shallow cross in combination with 2 men. And so what you do is you run the Y on a shallow cross, and this guy comes up and runs his, and he just crosses him. And so you basically have a junction point at a certain particular point where 2 men are exchanging shallow cross routes, where one is in front, the other guy is in back. And the same rules hold true. This guy here runs his clear, this guy runs his up, because this is called box. And again, I'm not going to get into detail until I get into it later, but you can just see the tremendous potential with a play like this. Because you have, number one, you have the same zone principles. You got 2 guys sitting down in zone. If it's man, you got a tremendous picking action so that you can take advantage of any kind of defensive deployment. So the box pass, which is a route of 2 crossing receivers on the line of scrimmage, and that is a good one, again, to build our concept. Now, with that, we have what we would call a scissors. And the scissors is the box, but is with the backs. Okay? So now these 2 guys are going through the line, and then they're going to go like that. And you can see the tremendous potential. Now, there's some protection problems, and there's some limitations to this, and there has to be some blitz and hot concept by the quarterback. But once the quarterback understands becomes a tremendously effective play. Because now you've got the same thing. You've got a guy with an over, you've got a guy here, you've got a guy clearing, and now you have two receivers. And again, remember, I'm not trying to sell you on this because you might not have the backs. Remember, back to our original concept. Maybe your backs don't catch. Maybe your backs don't fit this. But this, along with the shallow cross, is a tremendous combination because you have your backs coming through the line, reading man or zone. If it's man, boom. If it's zone, they come across and set in the zone. And believe me, if there's more than two guys in this whole area in here in zone, then they've got some new type of defense. And if it's man, it's one of the most effective routes in football, where already they're running straight ahead at the man, and if a man's got him man for man, he's going to be sitting there staring at him. You got it both ways you can go, and you got a chance to beat him inside or outside, but normally inside. Good against 3, good against 2, good against 2 man, good against cover 1. Against cover 1, it's almost a cinch because somebody has got to find this guy and decide who's got him man for man. Okay, now, the next thing that we're going to do in our route training is we're going to talk about another route, which is called the smash. And a smash is a route, you break the field into halves, and you can do it with a tight end or a wide receiver, or you can do it with a wide receiver and 2 wide receivers. And a smash is a named route to an outside receiver where he angles out to 5 yards, comes under, and sits down right at 5 to 6 yards. Just comes out there, and a lot of times people will even turn their back and come back in a smash route. The inside receiver runs a route on a man and runs a corner route. Same thing over here. This could be called a double smash if this were a particular formation. This guy comes down, reads it, and runs his corner route. This guy comes down here and sits right here at 5 to 6 yards. Now you can just see the potential for success. If this is cover 3, if it's cover 3, there's nobody covering this guy. I mean, there's going to be some guy out in this particular area here, but again, unless he gets out there real fast, this is a 5-step drop, he's got a nice throwing lane out here. Same way over here. If it's cover 3, the corner's back, the safety's here, this guy's taking the corner back. Unless somebody gets out here, there is absolutely no chance for this to be covered out here. Now, if a quarterback had double smash called, then again, remember our original premise. He would know where the best field position is and where the best opportunity. And a lot of times it would be into the boundary, because it would be hard for a backer stationed right here to take off and drop back and cover this smash underneath the corner back to the weak side. On this side over here, the safety might be able to get there. You just have to make a decision whether you throw it. I'll tell you an exciting thing off this smash is you can put the smash and give him a choice. And this, all you have to do is give him a choice, and he can come, and if he doesn't like that, he can run right up through the seam, and now you've got a choice built into a smash. Now again, probably that's too much for you, but that is the excitement that you can have with a play like the smash. Well, now you can see what happens in cover 2. Cover 2, it's made for cover 2. This play is made for cover 2. Because cover 2 puts the safety on the hash, the corner jumping. You got the smash, which takes care of him. You got the corner, which takes care of him. And you got if the quarterback knows where to throw it, how to throw it down and away, how to throw it away from the receiver, you got a heck of a shot. This guy's he's got the corner. This guy's coming, running around on the man, running a corner on a safety that's got the hash mark. And again, don't split too wide on the smash, because you don't want that thing to be an 80-yard pass. The defense will take care of the play. Their coverage is going to defense the formation. They're not going to defense the field. That's a simple rule. So tighten these splits down. Let this guy run his corner. Let this guy run his smash and see if they can beat it. Now, cover 2 man, you got problems. The guy who's got to convert is the smash guy. If they run cover 2 man on this guy, he's got to convert and start running. He's got to be, because it's the only way you can beat 2 man with the smash, because the inside guy has got a man on him, and he's got to run a corner, and it's just too much. He's got a man on him, plus a man covering behind him. He's got a pretty good chance that he's got on top of him. So you can see cover 3, it's a good pass to the outside guy. Cover 2, it's an excellent pass to the corner man. Cover 2 man, it's a great, if the conversion is made, it's a good throw, not any different than a shallow cross for a wide guy. He just spots man, he gets his tail in gear, and he gets across the field, and he's got a chance. Cover one, it is a beauty. Cover one, you get locked up, you come out and you see your best receiver in a slot here. You got your best receiver here, or at least a good receiver. He sees a free safety, or some guy locked up on him man for man, a corner locked up on him for man to man, and you got smash. To me, he's got to be able to run around on a man and beat him to the corner. That's the play you're looking for. That's the play, that's the one that Bill Walsh with the 49ers just looks for by the hours for a guy like Jerry Rice. Because Jerry Rice against a guy like that there's almost no chance. And at that much field, there's nobody else till over here. There's a safety locked up over here. So you can see that the smash concept gives you short passes, it gives you man beaters, it gives you cover two beaters, it gives you a nice little complement for everything that you want to do. Okay, the next concept is the four deep. The next thing is a four deep, and again, this is another training kind of a pass that is just as it sounds. And again, I'm not worried about protection. I'm not worried about what they name these guys. I'm worried about quarterback, receiver, preparation, decisions, and then execution. Name any formation. Put a formation up. We're going to run four guys deep, just like it sounds. Because remember, we're training people. We're training people now to get in these vertical seams. This is the first time we get in these vertical seams that we keep talking about, and we have to show them how to do it. We have to show them. So we call a four deep pass. And now we go through all the same rules. The receivers line up. Don't split too darn wide. It's no reason to throw speed so wide because the defense will defense the formation. Get it down. Quarterback, know where you're going to throw it. Best place to throw it is into the sideline because it's a shorter pass, if possible. So again, these are all things that you'll learn as doing it. Now the receivers take hold. Is it man? Is it zone? What the heck do I do? Well, now you can see the possibilities here. If an alignment key, keep drawing this the wrong way, huh? If it's an alignment key, and on alignment you see cover three, in other words, there's a safety in the middle of the field, then that's your movement key. That's your movement key. Don't question yourself. That's the movement key. And now on the snap of the ball, you look at him. If he favors this guy, you hit this guy. If he favors this guy, you hit that guy. And that's that simple. Now, a lot of things can happen, and I realized, but again, and you're doing it in 5 steps. You're not going to, and you don't wait for the guy to get open. You trust the vertical seam concept here. You trust that these guys are going to run their route on a man, this guy's going to run the route on a man, these guys are going to run the route on the man or on the hash. Because they're going to have to, if there's a safety out here, they're going to run the route and barrel in. They're probably, the rover. If the rover's over here, you're going to run it wide, and then they're going to come in. Don't ever go inside the hash. No inside receiver goes inside the hash. So if this is the hash right here to the short field, you're working this way. Because there's a heck of a hole seam in there. This safety, you'll find if this was the left hash, if we run the left hash here, let's say we're on the left hash, okay, and this is happening here, and this safety's got middle of the field. This corner's got this. This receiver's going to come through this hash. This safety is going to get his tail over here because he's got all the way over here to cover in a 3-deep zone. So quarterback, you blast your way back, you drive your way back, and now you read your key and you hit the man that's open in a 3-deep. Now, in a 2-deep, what are you going to do? In a 2-deep, and you see that on alignment, you see the 2-deep. And as you line up, this is a good formation. 2 tight ends. I draw some of these just to give you ideas, not because this is what you should do. You do whatever your backs allow you and your receivers allow you. Now you see cover 2 on alignment. You see cover 2 on alignment. Know where you are on the field. If you're in the middle of the field and both hash marks are out here, well then you just pick your best 2 receivers and hit them. Make your decision. Key, here's your movement key. He's going to release, he's going to come through here, he's going to release, he's going to come through here. My Lord, if you can't throw that vertical seam, then something's wrong, because you've got all the advantage against cover 2. Say, if you like it over here, then do it over here. This guy has got to avoid. He can't get bumped. He's got to get in this seam in here. This guy's got to release, come up, and come through there. So again, we have got everything we want in this vertical seam. We've got 4 guys going down the field. The quarterback himself has to make the decision. He has to make the decision which side he's going to. Now, the biggest mistake that I see with quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, is they always want to go to wide field. If you're on the left hash here, which a lot of times happens, and it's in cover 2, the best place to go is into the boundary, because this guy here he's got a tough problem here. This guy has got to stay at home on this hash mark. This guy, when this guy gets a clean release in here, and remember we told him not to go inside the hash, so that he's already inside it by 8 yards, he's got to get going. So he's going to either consume this guy and do what? Allow this guy, if he avoids, to be in, just about a 10-yard pass right over the top of this corner. That's all. Now, the other thing happens, and this is where the quarterback has to learn, as you're dropping back, if this guy overlaps and gets nervous, then you know who you're going to hit, because that guy is going to pop open. This guy will never get over there in cover 2. Okay, now, what you build in, because there's an answer for everything there. Cover 1, maybe you figure you got a guy that can beat one of their guys, so you throw against cover 1, you just run out for a long one. But the key now is to give this guy a route, your fullback. Give him a route so that you learn, because remember, we're trying to learn now. We're not going to put this all in. If it's good, we're going to use it. If not, we're going to learn. You give this guy what we call a dangle route or a delay. You name it, this main name. This guy now is accountable for 2-man, and he's accountable for number 1 or 1 free. And he's got to learn that, and the quarterback's got to learn that. So again, because you don't want to be 2-man, you can't throw deep against 2-man. They got too many guys. They got a guy jumping on him and a guy there and a guy behind him. You can make it, but it's not going to work. So this guy now runs his route. He runs the same stem as he'd run in a box. You call it a hip or a flip, call it anything you want. This guy now is responsible to beat 2-man and cover 1. And it's just a cinch. Because if there's some guy staring at him right here in 2-man or 1, he runs right up here, bam! And everyone else is about 80 yards down the field. And I'm telling you, this guy will bail you out every time. And if it doesn't work, then again, like I say, maybe this guy isn't good enough, maybe you shouldn't be running the play, but this will take you in your next step as we develop this thought process and this understanding of how to throw and how to make decisions. You can just see the cinch. You've got a vertical seam concept that's great against 3, reading the middle safety. It's great against 2, reading a safety on one side or the other. And it's great against 2-man, because your fullback is going to be open. There's no way a backer can sit there flat-footed and pick up any kind of a back with any kind of ability. And, of course, in cover 1, if you think you got a mismatch, throw it deep in cover 1, because you'll see it. They'll all be standing there looking at their men. Or forget it and just hit this guy in cover 1. Some guy will have to pick him up. A perfect, foolproof pattern and a great training pattern. This is, again, let's not forget what we're doing. We're training. We're not putting in our offense. We're training our receivers, our backs, our quarterbacks for all the decisions. Now, the other thing, quarterbacks, I want to remind you, quarterbacks of, as you're watching this, or coaches that are coaching quarterbacks, don't forget to have your quarterback remind you when a look's available. Don't forget to remind you if the look is available. Don't not forget our basic concepts, or an automatic. If the quarterback comes up and says, even though it's a 4-deep drill, and you're running 4 deeps, 20 of them in a row, just to get the concept and get the decision and learn how to do it, you still want that guy to come up there and say, Coach, I would have thrown a look just perfect. Or, Coach, I would have automatic to of this because I saw that. That's what you're trying to build in here. You're not trying to put all this in. You're trying to, remember what I said through this whole thing. We're trying to find a quarterback that's got the kind of intelligence, who understands, who can make pre-snap decisions. So these are post-snap decisions, but anything that he can do pre-snap while we're having this training session is going to better tell the quarterback and the coach what he's available to do. Now in the sprint, just like everything else, we'll set up some basic routes. Again, teaching the receivers to run the routes, teaching the quarterback how to take advantage of what the receivers are doing. So we'll just sprint right. We'll just sprint right, and the depth of a sprint is through 7 yards. You want the quarterback to sprint through 7 yards on any kind of a sprint and then threaten the line of scrimmage. The base route is basically a flat by the tight end and a 14-yard out by the wide receiver. The backside receiver runs a backside post, and the front side back blocks, or if there's two backs like in an I formation, they both block. But basically, the concept is for the quarterback to put immediate pressure on the corner, for the receiver, in this case the tight end who's running the flat, to hit into his man and then advance ahead of him, and we're going to hit the number one receiver, which is, in this particular case, the tight end. The wide receiver on that side should not split very wide, because he is merely a complement to the tight end if the tight end or the receiver, in this case, who's the flat route, is not open. So when the quarterback attacks the line of scrimmage, now this receiver is going to be at 14, and then he'll be coming out of his break so that the quarterback can either hit him or attack and run the football. Now, furthering what we just talked about, you can just see that this would be a nice opportunity for motion. You could motion this guy across and, again, stop him at a particular, if he's in motion, keep him going, and then he just runs the same route. Runs the same route from motion. You have now taken and put tremendous pressure on the defense. You have shown the defense one alignment that obviously shows a good deal of strength over here. You've taken and motioned a man over here, and you are going to run him on a pretty easy route. This guy is going to come off in the flat, and you now have created a tremendous advantage for yourself in the sprint game. The receiver, again, if it's no matter what the coverage is, the tight end in zone, he's going to run his route at a maximum of 3 on any kind of zone. If it's man, he's merely going to beat the man and use all of his man concept rules, hit into the man. Just be sure that you take that, don't let him know what you're doing. Try to keep that man so that he is on his heels, and then sprint to your particular position. So against 2 man, against 1, this tight end's got a tremendous advantage. Obviously, when you use motion, or if you were to shift him, take him, run him over here, and just stop him, you are going to see what kind of coverage that is doing to the particular defense and exactly what kind of pressure it's putting on. You can just see in this particular case, you take a formation like this, and you have a formation like this. You take this man in motion. And again, we're sprinting right again. We're sprinting right. This man now runs the flat. And he's got to time it up. He's got to come in. If it's zone, he's got to get push so that he can come out underneath the zone. If it's man, he comes in, renders the man ineffective if he can, gets into him, and comes out in his flat. This man, because he's the next man outside, he now runs the 14-yard out. So again, now we have another sprint from a whole different formation through 7, attack the line. Now again, we are training the receivers. He now has to run a zone route when he's a split receiver, and he has to attack the man and run a zone. He's got to do it in timing. He can't run that same route the same way the tight end runs it if we were coming this way, because again, he's a little further out. He's got to understand that. He's got to understand that if he runs this route like this, the quarterback would never be able to hit him because the timing would break down. So he has to learn man, learn zone, and run the route. The same with this guy. He goes in motion, he'll know whether it's man, because if it's man, some guy is going to be running with him, running all the way across the field with this guy, whether we motion him or whether we shift him. And if he knows it's man, then he runs at that man, comes out of it, and we got a great chance to complete this path by knowing exactly what's going on. Okay, so again, that's a way to run the sprint. Let me just show you something that will help, again, add another little added dimension to our training program here. Again, no plays, just training. Let's say sprint right or left, check with me. Hey, we've added something now. We've got a formation here. We've now we've remind ourselves that we've got a check with me category. So the quarterback comes up, he sees that the rover is right here, so he calls sprint left. They all know what to do. This guy runs a flat, this guy runs a 14 out, this guy comes through 7, someone blocked, and now we not only we get so much better of a chance to succeed on this route now, because the quarterback has to read a coverage, he has to handle his partners, he's got to tell 10 men what to do at the last possible minute, and he now, if he's got any kind of brains, is going to take advantage. Now, if he came up and he saw cover 2, and this is the fun of this where you can add things, if he saw cover 2, what would he probably do? He'd probably say, the heck with this darn thing. Because again, is the sprint good against cover 2? It really isn't good. This guy's going to sprint into him. He's going to sprint into him. What's going to happen? He better know at the snap of the ball that he's going to do what? That he's going to run the football. And there's no sense trying to do anything else because, again, there's going to be a guy sitting in the flat in cover 2. There's going to be a guy out here when this guy rolls over at 14. So, again, you can just see how exciting this can get and how quarterbacks and coaches can begin to get smarter and more effective as they read the coverages. So the sprint is good. It can be used with motion. It could be used with shift. You could shift a guy from right here over here and then run the sprint, and you've got a whole different picture for that defensive secondary, and you can put the pressure on them, and as I said, your quarterback should be effective. Okay, now let's take a look at the stop. The stop is, again, another route training mechanism, and the stop is a half roll. It's a half roll. It's much like the shallow cross in that it has a lot of components, and almost everything that the defense does, we have an answer for. We have a rollover 8 to 10 yard out. In other words, he's going to roll over or plant, depending on how you route run. This man is running an out at 8 to 10 yards. He's going to get the ball in man. He's going to get the ball in a deep cover 3 zone. He's going to get the ball in cover 2 man. If he can run the route, if a guy's inside of him, and if he can press, this guy is told to take away the inside, I believe that the ball can be thrown to him. And it's a much more effective way to throw the out than the drop back, because you've moved the throwing spot to 7 yards deep behind the tight end. It is a definite stop or a half roll, and if they do not take away the flat, that is the simplest form of an out route. Simplest form. Now, there you can take it away, because we know that a good bump and run, a good tough cover 2, simple cover 2 takes it away. So the quarterback, when he comes up and sees cover 2, then he's going to forget that guy. Just forget him, because there's no way that this guy's going to get open against cover 2 unless the guy goes to sleep. But again, we've got answers for that. So he runs an out. The tight end runs what we call a seam. And he basically comes up the field for 6 yards, and then he bananas or seams in the zone so that if cover 2 is there and he can't hit his buddy on the initial move, he can hit this guy by settling down in the zone underneath the safety. And that quarterback has a good position on him. He's out there. He's got a good position on that guy, and he can get it. Okay? Then the third component on the stop is what we call a slant curl. The split end comes off for 6, in for 4, and he slant curls. We run a slant curl route in amongst the linebackers. And again, it is an excellent route to beat zone. If the quarterback comes out, decides he can't hit this guy for whatever reason, remember, we're just making decisions and seeing if this guy can run a good enough route to get open for him to hit him. From a medium split, we don't want a big wide split. If he can't hit him, he tries to hit him. If he can't see him, then he comes back to the slant curl. If not, the halfback sets in here for 3 good counts and slides out here 5 out and 2 deep and just stands there. Just stands there, ready to catch the ball. So as you can see here now, we now have an excellent method of determining if our quarterback throws well as he moves. We have a much better way to throw an out pattern, because we have movement and we have a much better angle on the out. If he can't do it, he has a decision-making process of seam or slant curl, or if not, hit his halfback on the throwback action. And that is a good concept. Now, you can see how we could do that from motion. Very simply. We could line up a guy over here and move him in motion if you wanted to do that. You certainly could take, and this is something that we'll start incorporating, is trading your tight end. Line up your tight end over here. Line up your tight end over there. Line up both of these guys on the line of scrimmage. You'll be amazed at what that does to a team. And then line up in an I formation. This is called trading a tight end. It's like a shift or like a motion, but it's going to give you, you know what you're doing, you're going to stop, or whatever the heck you call it. So you're going to come out here. This guy can come over on the snap of the ball. You can either stop him, or you can just snap it here, and you'll be amazed at what kind of a seam he gets in here. Plus, there'll be somebody running over there to try to get in position to take away that particular play. And again, it gives you a nice little chance to hit your tight end in that particular area, in that route. You could also do that in the pattern we just talked about, the sprint. You could move him across here like this. He comes up, runs his flat. This guy runs his out, and you got yourself a sprint with just a very simple move that puts a whole bunch of pressure on the defensive secondary. So the stop, getting back to the stop. The stop itself is not good against two right here. It's not good against two outside. Whenever you see two, you're going to come back to the backside, almost unless you can hit your tight end. If you can hit your tight end in two, in the seam, if the seam on the stop is open in cover two, you look for him and you hit him right away. Right away. Timing. Remember timing. If not, you immediately focus your vision back here, and you come right around and you hit that slant curl, because you see what effect you're going to get on the stop. They don't know whether you're stopping or sprinting. So they're going to move. Those linebackers are going to move, and there's going to be a hole in here that's not normally there in drop back pass. That's why we call this a half roll, and why this is maybe something you want to incorporate when we start designing plays. This may be a play you like the looks of, because it allows your quarterback to move if your protections aren't good. It allows for zone protection, and it allows for you to throw into the short or intermediate zones when there's a movement, which puts linebackers at a tremendous disadvantage. And as I said, then if you don't like it, you can always hit this guy. Now, two-man, this is tough. Two-man, this is tough. We try to sell that two-man and one, we're going to go to the flanker. That he has got to beat two-man. You've got to make him think he's going up and come out, or we've got to, he's got to do it. If not, the only guy that can do it, you can let your slant curl guy, if he knows it's man, keep coming. Slant curl guy, if he knows it's man, knows it's two-man, he can break it off anytime between 4 and 8. He can break it off and get moving, because then he'll come across in the vision and you can hit him on two-man. Foolproof, a lot of good decisions, a lot of good things to think about depending on your personnel. It's a good complement to the eye. It's good with a good active tight end. It's good if you have the kind of receivers that can run individual routes on the outside. Okay, the next to last of our route training sessions incorporates the rollout action. And a lot of you are going to think that that's a good action because it does tie in well with the running game. It's a flood concept. And again, with motion and shifting and some of the things we talked about, it really lends itself to quarterbacks who can move their feet and to action that keeps you away from throwing the ball from behind the center. So a simple roll is one that is, and as you know, we're not designing plays, but down along the line here, we're going to be putting in goal line and different plays for different situations. This is a great one because it's a flood concept. You run the tight end, you can run the flanker on an in, or you can just run them deep depending on what the situation is. You can run the tight end on a seam, and you've got your fullback on the flat. And you come across with the quarterback, again, going through at least 7 so that he's in a position to take advantage of what the defense does. Now, again, you can see the possibilities. Basically, your primary basically is the fullback all the way, because in zone, he puts tremendous pressure on anyone out in this zone. If there's anyone out in this zone and he goes too wide where if he goes off here, your fullback is in position. And he never gets any deeper than 3. On a rollout, flat pass for a fullback, he never gets any deeper than 3. So he is underneath most zones, and that's a key factor. I think a lot of people, when they see a zone route and they see movement and they see a flat route, they think, well, gee, it's going to be in the middle of the zone. Zones, people don't defend zones between 1 and 3. They defend them from 3 deep. Now, it's different sometimes in the goal line, but basically, this is just a flat route, maximum of 3 at the sideline for the fullback. The seam route is much the same for the tight end as it was on a stop. In other words, he explodes from the line, he gets a stem to about 6, and then he begins to belly into the seam and be ready for the route. If he doesn't get it, he can keep coming. And again, because it is a rollout action, we are actually going to threaten the corner, much like we did in the sprint. Much like we did in the sprint. This guy back here just running a post pattern. So again, in cover 1, somebody in here has got this guy man for man, and you'll find that it is a very, very effective method against a pure cover 1. Because again, somebody in here has got to sort through the tight end to get to the fullback and cover him in man coverage. Okay? If it's cover 2 man, the same thing. Somebody has got this guy in cover 2 man, and he's got to make a banjo call or make some sort of an adjustment here to pick him up. In all the other zone routes, you should be able to get effectively around the corner and hit either the fullback or the tight end at a maximum of 10, 3 and 10, all the way to the sideline, and it should be there. Again, very effective with motion, as you might guess. Take this guy and run him this way. Take him and run him that way, and everybody's assignment over here in man-to-man coverage just changed. The corner had him. He's either got to run all the way over here and take him, or he's got to say now that he's got the tight end and somebody else now has got the fullback, and you basically, against man-to-man coverage, cannot stop this play in and around the goal line area. Because again, your decisions and who you got can change just with a mere motion or a mere shift. Again, the same thing with coming from this side. You can bring this guy across like here, and it still changes things. It changes the zone perspective, and it obviously would change all man rule. So the rollout pass, and again, don't ever think it can't be done to a slot. This is, for whatever good that you think you can get out of a rollout, it is just as effective. You can just as effectively do it this way. Because again, you put the same tremendous heat on another, and this instead of a closed side now, you're putting the same pressure on an open side. Same rules. Some guy here has got to run a timed up seam. He can't rush it because if he was tighter, he'd be out. He's just got to know how to do it and run a seam pass that's no deeper than 10. This guy runs this flat. This guy clears. And again, we come around here and we come outside here. And believe me, it can be blocked because you've got a blocker and there's usually going to be one man here in containment. You now have tremendous pressure on that. And just think, if you bring this guy in motion, bring this guy from over here in motion, or shift him, and he comes here and runs the same thing. You've got a nice 2-level zone pass. You've got a tremendous man pass to a guy coming out of the backfield who gets lost in the shuffle. Again, excellent pass, and again, as we've talked about, with all the sprint, the stop, and the roll, they are easily converted to man, easily converted to zone, and they are moving pockets, which makes a lot of coaches more comfortable. You feel more comfortable when the pocket is able to be movable and flexible. And when we get into protections, I think you'll see how those will tie in as well. Okay, now the last concept that we're going to touch on in this series, talking about route training, is our play-pass concept. This one now is a very important concept because it incorporates drop-back principles with the horizontal zone, which again is 12 to 20 yards. This area here that we have got to be able to perform in to be successful in the pass game. We got a lot of attackers in this short zone from 0 to 12. We got a lot of things you can see that are potential, whether it's drop back, whether it's roll, whatever. But we have got to get into that next area. We've got to get into that horizontal zone. And in our experience, we found that the play pass, now this is not a running play fake pass. even though you're faking a run. This is basically a drop back pass with the backs faking in and assuming blocking responsibilities. It's important that we get that clear. There's a lot of run, play, action passes where you fake a run and get them in there and then you throw. This is basically a drop back concept at 7. This is a 7-step drop. This is a 7-step drop off of a running play fake, but again, the quarterback, as they get good, they will fake. The fake is not the most important thing. The most important thing is designing some routes that get into this area, and again, training the receivers to learn how to use their moves and their depth to get open. Okay, we have, these are all ends now. These are just ends. We're going to teach deep ends that are 14 yards. Now, they could be 16. We'd like to make them 16 if we can, because then it gets just that much deeper. But the guy's got to get moving on 16. Got to get moving to get into that zone. And they got to go through a junction point. They have to go through a junction point at 14 to 16 if they possibly can. You can get a split receiver on the line to 16. You'll have a heck of a time getting a flanker off the line to 16 for the obvious reason. Okay, now, if you're going to fake, and this just is a play pass. It's called play pass. Again, call it what you want. And this is a deep in to the flanker. Now, your tight end is going to come out and hook up at 6. The halfback, when he is going to come in, is going to hook up from 4 to 6. Okay, this guy is not a factor. He can run him. This is a backside receiver. But this is play pass right. Okay, flanker in. Now, here we go. Real good against any kind of zone. I mean, it better be good against a zone because, again, if this action or this action isn't, if we're not able to suck these guys up and help and take away a zone, then we'll never get into this area. So we have got to, the fake, even though it's not designed for the fake, as good as a fake can be made to suck the linebackers up, plus these two shorter routes, we hope are going to allow us to get in the zone. And the quarterback has got to try, whether it's a 4-4-3 or a 4-5-2, we've got to get over these zones into this intermediate area. And the receivers have to run their route and be ready to catch the ball any time after their break. And again, the throw is not a rifle throw. It's not a line drive throw. It is a throw over the top of the linebacker. Now, this play fits into the progression. We're back to a category of a progression. So this is a premium on the QB to make the decision between the three guys. He does not have a primary. He has to hit the man that is open based on the three concept area here. And if they jump, if they're deep, taking away this, he's got to hit this tight end or this halfback. If they're up, then he's got to hit this guy. So zone, it's excellent. Man, it's okay. Cover one man. This guy should be able to beat the guy. Cover two man, we're in hot water. Cover two man, this is another one of those where you put it back on the back coming through the line. Now, again, if it was two man, you'd automatic. You'd get out of the thing if you knew it was two man. But if it's two man and you know that they're in a tight two man on every guy, this is not a good two man beater, although you can turn it into one. You can turn him in and let him run up the sideline. But right now, we're not to that extent yet. So he's not a good two-man beater. This guy's not a good two-man beater because he's got help. This guy is your only guy. As he fakes through and he sees a man looking for him, he just got to jock him and beat him either way. And you've got yourself a dandy two-man beater to take advantage of anything they can do. So cover one, any zone, anything else, you're going to get into that horizontal zone. Okay, now let's look at it on the other side. Look at it on the other side. Again, teaching the route running. And I apologize for drawing these up to the right most of the time, but that's just, I do that for a lot of reasons. But now, again, you're faking here. You're running this guy on a deep end, the X deep end, or in. That, again, hopefully 14, maybe 16. Now you're coming across with a tight end at 6. Again, there's your zone principle again. Quarterback, hit him, or hit him. They can't take away both of those. There can't be a guy back there. I mean, the guy behind him isn't going to take it away. So whoever's in this zone, whoever's in this flat zone here, is either got to jump the cross or he's got to drop back on the deep end. And that's up to the quarterback on any zone, whether it's 2, whether it's 3, any zone, 5 under, 4 under, no matter how many. That's the decision you want to make with this guy here. Now, this one has a tremendous chance in 2-man, and you can see who it's going to be, right? This one has a tremendous chance in 2-man because the tight end's going to come through, he's going to sense 2-man, and he's going to pop up over here, and he may be a heck of a threat in 2-man. So you got a great situation. So you got the same thing. You got a deep end, you got your underneath zone, you got 2 in 1 zone over here, and you've got a layoff here if you want to go to him on 2-man, same thing. So your coach teaches you that on this particular play action, on play pass, when it's 2-man, if you don't hit your tight end, you come right back to him. That way you're not waiting for some poor guy out here to get open. He's not going to get open unless he's some guy that's an All-American, because they got a man on him and a man behind him. So the quarterback checks him off his mind, he understands the problem, and he lets him go. Okay, now a good play to finish up this part of it, just so that I think we understand this, is the same, again, the same concept, and now we've got an extra man. We're calling the deep end again. We're going to send him through that's going to get rid of business, and now we'll bring him over again. And it's just, again, this is the big decision-making process for your quarterback. The big one, because he now has to make a zone decision, again, as we're talking about, and there should be one guy here. One guy, and if this guy's wide enough, and if he gets his tail across field, we have got the classic 2-on-1 zone here with a guy faking through here, and we should have a chance to complete this pass each and every time. And don't forget, when you get clever and you get this thing going, don't forget to hit him once in a while, going right up the middle. Just hit him. There'll be people jumping on these routes, people will be coming here, and this guy will become a threat even on the end path. So again, this is a play pass. Here's the 2-man beater, right? Here's it, or he hits your back as he comes through. Drawing a little, I get drawn fast. As this guy comes through, he's the 2-man beater. Either way you want to have him go, he's the 2-man beater. This guy could be a 2-man beater. This guy's a clear. This guy's your deep end. And you've got an answer for every question of all of the coverages that we've been talking about. So let's conclude this now. This session has been a nice developmental session for the progression between all the concepts of passing and the route running and the route understanding, not only for receivers but for quarterbacks. And you put all that together, and now we move to the next phase, which will be our 6 categories of passes, and we will actually design plays in each category with protections and specific numbering so that we can put together a pass in each area that can help us to put the entire complex together. Now, what you have to decide as a coach is you have to decide which things your quarterback does best. What does he do that you should emphasize? Because you can't do it all. We've talked about a complete pass game. In other words, a little drop back, a little rollout, a little play action, some draws, some screens. So you have got to make the decision on where you're going to put your priorities. What is the area of the pass game that you're going to emphasize? Are you going to emphasize a drop back? Are you going to emphasize a rollout? Are you going to emphasize the sprint? Then complement it with some of these others. But don't make them all equal, because there is no quarterback or no set of receivers that can do everything to such an efficient extent. So make your decisions, prioritize, and we'll try to help you along the way.